Hey everybody, it's Finn here with another Finterview for the SDGC. Here to talk to Joe Mirabello, the founder and creative director of a pretty unique game concept that we're going to launch right into. Hello, Joe.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. So, the name of your company right off the bat is pretty memorable. What can you tell us about how you founded this company and how'd you even come up with that name? Because
How
I
do you
have
come up
to,
with that name?
yeah,
I
because you
earned
don't
that
have very
name.
bad posture. I think you have, you
Oh,
know,
I thank you. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, okay. So, all right. The company's name is Terrible Posture Games, and I back before I went indie, I used to work in AAA, and I got a reputation for my terrible posture. I've gotten a lot better. I'm trying to sit up straight. I've got a chair that's a lot nicer now, but I used to really slouch. I was really kind of like this, and I had a hunch. And even when I was working, I was working as an artist. I worked for a couple of different companies. A company called Iron Lore, working on a game called Titan Quest, and then I worked for 38 Studios on a big MMO based in the Amalur franchise. But uh, at at those companies, I was known, especially at Iron Lore, for like really slouching in my chair. I'd be sitting there like this and just
My
drawing,
God.
and so people would come by and like I don't know, you can't really see it, but like my back was completely unsupported, like off the chair, and so people were always like, "You're gonna kill your back that way." They were right, but it also gave me inspiration for the name of the company.
And so, what made you want to leave AAA and start your own indie studio?
Oh, well, okay, so I don't know if you know the history of 38 Studios, but it was a pretty um, high profile bank collapse of a company. It was the company that was founded by the baseball pitcher Kurt Schilling, and I was just an
Oh,
artist there. Yeah,
yes,
okay. I have
the
to
the
tell you the
Rhode
story.
Island company. Got it.
Rhode
Go.
Island company. When I started there, though, it was back in Massachusetts. And I had worked for a couple of years for Iron Lore, and I really liked Iron Lore a lot, but I was like really ready for kind of a sophomore company experience. Like Iron Lore was an excellent place, but it was the first company I worked for, and I was like, okay, let's move on, try and get more experience at another company. And 38 opened up literally a door down the hall. So I was like, well, I'll apply. We'll see. I wasn't really expecting to really be there that long. I was like, we'll see how this goes. It's kind of a crazy zany thing. I don't know, some pitcher. Todd
Right.
McFarlane is there helping out with the art, and that's cool. I'd like to meet him. So he was the guy who did Spawn, and that was exciting. And he was the only one of the celebrity founders that I'd heard of before.
Right.
But I was excited to meet him. And I thought that maybe I'd be there for a couple of months, and I ended up being there for 5 years, like pretty much from the beginning of the company as an artist, before we even had computers like purchased and distributed to the team, uh, working as an environment artist, and then later as a technical artist, and then later as a senior technical artist, just getting more and more technical throughout my career. And when that company collapsed, it was 5 years of my life just gone, just completely vanished. And I I can't claim credit or blame that much for the actual collapse itself. It seems like there's lots of crazy things you can read about in the news that I didn't know about at the time. We were just sitting there doing our job, making cool stuff, and I kind of realized that like, okay, I was kind of jaded. I was like, I want to go do my own thing. I don't want to be at the hands of someone else. If I succeed or fail, I'd like for it to be my fault or my to my credit, and not some tier of executives fault. But then also, I had always kind of wanted to go indie,
Hmm.
and so I had saved up a little bit of money. And my wife was like, "Well, now's the time. You should do it now. Try it out." And then I made a game called Tower Guns on my own, pretty much completely solo. After um, um, 38 Studios, and that was the start of Terrible Posture Games. And I worked on that like totally solo. Just can I do this on my own? Afterwards, I'll go back into AAA again and just work on other games. But I want to do this on my own for just one game, and that
Wh-
was 5 years ago, and ended up
Why does
becoming a
that
career.
sound so familiar?
It's a first-person shooter roguelite experience.
Yes, I remember this game.
Very silly, very silly. Just
Ha!
made total game jam style. Like I was just like gonna rush through it and do like whatever I could make as fast as I could make it. If I stopped for even a second to think about what I was doing, I knew I would never finish. And after about 20 months of that, I released it, and I was expecting, maybe it would be like a fun project, and then I'd go back to working for someone else. And what I thought was going to be a sabbatical ended up turning into a second career.
Oh, that's
And then I
awesome.
went from that to a game called Mother Gunship, and then from Mother Gunship to 3 out of 10.
I had no idea. I've actually heard of those games before. Look at you. You're an unknown celebrity to me that is now known.
Well, the
So
gunship was more than just me. Tower Guns, I
that was
did bring on
100%
help to
you.
bring the. I did do the directing on it. I was the director, but that was a very, very talented team of people from all over the place. It was built in collaboration with a studio named Grip Digital, filled with some awesome developers, and working with them as well as some contractor friends of mine. And then 3 out of 10, basically, we expanded the pool of contractors to be more of a company, more of a real company.
Nice. Well,
And that's where 3 out of 10 came from.
well, speaking of 3 out of 10, that is why we are here today
Right.
because
Yes.
it is a incredibly unique concept that I wanted our audience and our community to learn about. So for those not in the know, it is basically you've heard of episodic games before, but you've never really had a show release like a TV show. They've kind of had the concept of them, but this you actually released in weekly installments like it was a sitcom itself.
Yeah, that was an interesting experiment, and that was one of the things that when we approached Epic with this project, we were like, we have a really interesting project in front of you all. What do you think? And they were really intrigued by quite a few different factors of it: the episodic content, the fact that we're building it all in Unreal, this idea of a playable sitcom. It was all kind of this package of here's an experiment in front of you. Would you like to help us see how it goes? And it was a lot of fun to work on. And we released this game. It's 3 out of 10 is about the world's worst video game studio, and it is kind of a really zany, satirical, absurdist look at the game industry. We kind of hold a very satirical mirror up to the industry, and it's filled with really silly, over-the-top, wild antics. We don't try and be realistic, but we are at the same time, I've been told at least, one of the most faithful portrayals of the game industry, and that makes me feel kind of proud for being as Monty Python-esque as it is. The fact that people are like, oh, this is kind of we're sad crying laughing at this because of the truth in here, in the situations that happen, and they're trying to get above the studio in the game are trying to get their score of their game above 3 out of 10 because they've never released a game that's ever done better than 3 out of 10.
Yeah, you even play on that with the name of the company being like Shovel, based off shovelware.
Yeah, it's Shovelworks, but yeah, shovelware is kind of where it came from. They work in an old New England mill that used to be a shovel factory, which, fun trivia, Iron Lore and 38 both were in an old mill in New England. So.
Oh, nice. I think my favorite part from the trailer that really sold the humor to me was when the fans are rioting and one of the developers goes like, well, what if we like make the game better? Would that make you happy? And they go, no. And you go like, why not? Because it's not Witcher 3. And that part killed me because I spend way too much time on Twitter watching how fans actually interact, and that echoed way too close to reality for me.
Yeah, some of the things I think we get pretty close to reality, but we do it in an absurdist light, and hopefully people kind of, as they play this game, which is entirely free, by the way, you can play it for free on the Epic Game Store. It's hopefully as people play it, they will kind of see that it's not done in a mean way. I try and write the humor so that it's a little bit more lighthearted and done almost in an adoring fashion. Like we're trying to make sure that this feels like it's coming across as like tongue-in-cheek and playful and not mean-spirited.
Right. I never got the vibe that you were punching down.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We try and not punch down, and it definitely is a different style of humor than you see in a lot of places these days, where the punching down seems to be, or just punching everywhere seems to be kind of the norm. And this is more about the kind of situations they find them in and the absurd way they have to deal with it. That Witcher 3 comment is a good one, I guess, but yeah.
No, it's just it's writing humor for games is much harder than people realize. So my question for you is, how did you go about finding your voice and the vibe that you wanted to go with? You kept bringing up Monty Python. Was that kind of your goal to begin with, or is that just how it fell?
I don't know if I would say it was the goal to begin with. It's kind of the direction the writing took. In the beginning, we just knew that we wanted something that we could write quickly, and we knew that we wanted something that could feel like it was reflecting on the game industry in satirical ways. And we're like, okay, so we don't want to be realistic. We want to be humorous, so let's go over the top. And the more over the top you get, the better. And we knew we wanted some elements of the fantastic. So as you're playing this game, you're watching these cutscenes, and then you get thrown at these ridiculous scenarios that could be all over the place. Like the gameplay in there, there's this. Okay, let's back up a little bit and talk a little about the gameplay experience. So each episode is about a half hour long, and usually there's a bits of cutscene mixed in there, maybe about 20 minutes of cutscene, 20 minutes of a episode, but then a couple of times per episode you have explorers phases, which is a lot like a point-and-click adventure, but there's no real puzzles. It's more like just see what's around, explore it, find objectives, like solve objectives, talk to your coworkers, etc. Play some of the games that they're making. Like you can actually try the game that the studio is making, and it's terrible. Then, throughout the story, there's also these mini games that get injected, and we do our best to really try and surprise the player. Like you're never really sure what kind of mini game you're going to get. In one episode, it's going to be a first-person shooter that takes you about maybe 4 minutes or so, 5 minutes to play. And another one, it's a Zelda clone. And another one, it's a pinball game. And another one, it's a mix of these 2 or 3 genres. We try and make sure that every mini game is either surprising or funny, or is in some way a little bit of a experiment on mechanics that people may otherwise be familiar with. So we try and do something different that we've never seen before.
And what's nice about that is if it's not a genre or a type of game that resonates with the player, it doesn't stick around long enough to impact their enjoyment of the whole.
That's the hope, in that there's enough variety so that everybody plays it and are like, oh, okay, so this part was the part for me. We make sure that every single element in the game is actually... This took a bit of tech back end to pull off, but it's almost like watching a video where you can fast forward or rewind at any time, and that includes the games. You can fast forward and skip a game, or go back and try it again, and you can just do this with fast forward and rewind buttons, or restart the scene buttons, or you can actually just pull up a scene manager at any time and just kind of go through. So long as you've unlocked it once, you can go through and replay any scene or any game or any explore phase all you want. And there is some meta stuff to collect. There's stars you can collect and you get ranked on a leaderboard, but that leaderboard is not even a real leaderboard. That's a fake leaderboard where you're ranked against us, the developers, and we throw ourselves on there, and that's our credits menu is the leaderboard.
Oh, nice.
Now, so our short form credit, but yeah.
What the thing that it reminds me the most of, and I find this, it might be a weird comparison, but I find it apt, is WarioWare.
WarioWare?
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar, but just the concept of random mini games that could just be literally anything at any time. And you never know.
I haven't played. That was an old DS game. I haven't played it in forever, but that game was fun because you never were sure what you were going to get, and it was wild. It was all over the place. Those games tended to be more like one button pushes.
Correct.
And you're done.
Yeah.
2 seconds in and out. But yeah, that was one of the inspirations. Like WarioWare, it was a little bit of Professor Layton because there's Professor Layton has an interesting mix of story elements and kind of like these freeform explorers, even though you're just clicking on pretty pictures really.
Right.
But then they also have these mini games. In Professor Layton, they're all puzzles. I had realized that there wasn't really a kind of similar thing that didn't force you to do puzzles. Sometimes people don't really want to think, they want to play, and they want to rely on their instincts to play a game, like people who like platformers, but maybe they don't want a 2-hour platformer. Maybe a fun little 2-minute platformer will be fun instead. So again, it goes back to that whole feeling that we wanted to delight the player with fun surprises. So
now,
as we're working on season 2 now, we've tried to even amp that up even more with more crazy gameplay.
Just stole my next question. We're getting to season 2. All right.
Yes, we are into season 2.
Has Epic responded, and have they enjoyed the results of the launch?
When we set out to do this, we had a certain amount of episodes we wanted to get done, and then Epic has said that they've liked everything that they've seen. They liked the project. They believe in the experiment. That was they've been. I guess the best way to say it is they've been really supportive of the feeling, the fact that we were doing something nobody had really tried before. So, moving on to the second season is like right now we're in the middle of it, and we're actually kind of finishing up episodes at this point. We're talking about the end of, I don't know when this will go live, but we're knee deep in the finishing of season 2, and we'll see what Epic thinks of this season. They haven't seen too much from the season yet, but judging by how they thought about season 1, they seem to be pretty positive to the story. They seem to be positive about the humor. So I'm excited to see what people think of the actual
Right.
the actual season itself, because it's like we feel like we've doubled down. We feel like we've improved our writing. We feel like we've improved our gameplay ability. We feel like we've improved everything about the entire project.
Now, how has I mean, the question of the year is how has COVID and working from home and just everything about the hellscape of 2020 impacted your way of making games?
It's been a bit of a hellscape, is a good way to put it. Yeah, okay, so I would say we've done better than most companies. We were already set up as a remote company.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we've got people all over the place working with us on this project, and there's people all over the U.S. There's like 5 different states that Turbo Posture Games now operates in, and then we have some contractors overseas, and we've got partners all over the place that we like the audio is all done by Skew Sound, and they're all the way out in Seattle, and so we've already kind of adopted this remote culture even from the get-go. So we were able to kind of keep rolling right away when lockdown started hitting and when COVID started hitting. Except those of us who are parents, we've had to deal with juggling the daycare situations, and that's been really tough. For me personally, that's been really tough because I know I've had to take time and not been there for the team at times when I really wanted to be, because I've had to, rightly, prioritize, family or take care of my kid.
Right.
We've managed to juggle, I think, pretty effectively, but it has led to me making up time at night to kind of like make ends meet on the on my duties as a writer, or as whether I needed to approve something, or juggle the leadership role with my fellow leaders on the team. That's been tough, and it's also been tough just because general years has been stressful on the entire team. So even in just speaking generally, everyone has got a higher strung, we're all a little bit higher strung, I think. We do a really good job about making sure that we're looking out for each other as much as we can, but everyone feels it. 2020 is an awful experience for so many of us. Even aside from the terribleness of COVID, we're all juggling with, global instability right now, national instability. We're never really sure what's going to be coming next month. In the news cycle, it's a interesting time to be alive, and I've been telling people that whoever said "May you live in interesting times" was full of crap, because they did not live in interesting times. I'll tell you, I want to go back to boring times, but it is what it is, and we'll roll with it, and we do our best. And I like to say that we've made some awesome stuff, and despite everything, despite all of the harshness of 2020. We're excited to see what 2021 will bring, and I think that the team feels pretty energized, and they're super talented and have been awesome to work with. So I feel very lucky and very proud to be working on the team with the team of people I have been working with.
Spoken like a true founder of a company. Just crushing it on the PR side right there. I just wanted to
but I mean that, man.
No, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time about that, because it came off so heartfelt, and I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. All right. I wanted to thank you, though, because...
Hey, plugging Discord right now?
Oh, look at you. Because just even trying to find time to do this interview with you because of your dual roles as a creative director and a family man. So I know your time is precious, so thank you. Just from
you're welcome. I mean, this is it's fun to do these, and I'm excited to see what people think, and I'm always happy to talk up my coworkers. They're awesome, and I like to talk about them.
All right, so name your favorite one right now.
Name my favorite one.
Yeah, let everyone in the company know who you actually. No, please don't do that. Don't.
It's Timothy. It's Timothy.
Oh, it's Timothy. All right, take that.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Timothy. Good job. But no, I wanted to not take up too much of your time, so I was hoping, could you give the cliche elevator pitch of 3 out of 10 for people that we might need that soundbite to get hooked onto the concept?
Sure. So 3 out of 10 is an episodic playable sitcom that takes place in the world's worst video game studio, where they've never made a game that has ever scored better than 3 out of 10. So you can join them from episode to episode as they get into all sorts of wacky antics as they struggle to overcome absurd situations and grow as a team.
And there's a season 2 coming, so you don't have to worry about cliffhangers.
And there's a season 2 coming. There is a cliffhanger in season 1, but there's season 2 coming. And season 2 will be coming out in 2021. We haven't said yet the release date, but we will be talking about that soon. So
That's awesome. Now, where can people follow you and follow Terrible Posture and follow 3 out of 10 and all that fun stuff on the internet?
okay, so you can follow Terrible Posture Games at Terrible Posture. You can follow me at Blank Slate Joe. But the most important link I probably should point people towards is 310.show, which has basically everything right there. So you could go join our Discord community with a link off of that. You could click on that to get to our Twitter. You can even click on that to get the episodes for free from the EGS, from the Epic Game Store. So there's a link right there on 310.show. So 310.show is the best place to go to be routed towards wherever you
Oh no,
want
no.
to know.
I was when you say 310, do people actually physically type out the letters or the numbers, or do they just use the numbers? Like, is it 310?
I think I got both domains, but it's
Okay.
The number's 310.show. So the number 3, the number 1, the number 0.show.
Good,
So
because
good question.
for people
Good question.
listening, I didn't want them to try one and get frustrated or whatnot. So I know I told you
It's
before.
appreciated, yeah.
I know I told you before we started that I wouldn't hit you with any hard hitting curveballs, but I'm saving the best for last. So I apologize for gotcha you with this, but I need your answer in your heart of hearts: cake or pie?
Oh, good question. Excellent question. What kind of cake are we talking about? What kind of pie are we talking about?
It's the concept of cake versus the concept of pie. If you had to choose one, where is your heart leading you?
If I had to choose one, I didn't. Well, it's cake. It's obvious. It's cake for me, and a lot of people are going to be upset by that because people who are pie fanatics are pie fanatics. They are like super pie fanatics to an unreasonable degree, to an absurd degree that it like is disturbing.
I
to
would
people
say
who
it's
are
a
not pie
reasonable
fanatics.
degree, but
But I didn't start actually liking cooked warm fruit until I was like 30. I was like, this is weird. Why do people like this? And it wasn't until I had Maine blueberries, and then I was like, whoa, a Maine blueberry pie is amazing. And so that's still kind of a new concept to me. Before then, the only pies that were good were like peanut butter pie or chocolate pie, or maybe you like a
banana
pudding pie.
cream pie for me, that was my
Yeah.
first one.
Those are very good. I do like those quite a bit.
Chicken pot pie. I
But
counted.
the banana cream pie, like that, the awesome filling side of that, though, you could put that in between 2 layers of cake. So,
I mean, that's fair, but no one does. There's no banana cream cake, is what I'm saying.
well, that's true because they call it something different, I guess. But I've seen that like Boston cream layer in between
Okay,
things.
that's fair. See, I always like not scaring, but people go, their eyes get a little, their heart pounds a little more when they're like, oh no, what question is he actually going to ask? And then I'm like, just kidding. It's a stupid
Like,
question.
what's the right answer? No,
I love it.
That's you don't joke around about cake and pie.
No. It's my favorite question I ask. I end every single initial interview with that question because people sometimes have more to say about that than they do about their own game. It's amazing.
Really?
I love it. Some people get really into it.
I do like both. I will say that I like both, but I find that you get a lot of variety of what could be a cake.
Yeah.
Especially if you start going like, I guess you get a lot of variety behind pies too. You could have like a meat pie. You couldn't live off of cake because you can't have meat cake. That's terrible. But like you could have like a shepherd's pie is something you could survive off of.
Isn't a meat
So if
cake
you're like-
just lasagna at that point?
I guess you could survive off a cake then.
I
You could
don't know.
survive off of lasagna.
We're getting way off track on that one now. But no, I really wanted to thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I mean, for anyone that doesn't know, our community is big on just all types of genres and games, but it's the fact that your humor is more universal instead of mean-spirited that I think will really resonate with our fans. So I wanted to thank you for taking the time to chat with us.
Oh, well, thank you. It was a pleasure getting to meet you a little bit and talk to you, and thanks to your community for having me on your show.
Oh, well, thank you. You have a wonderful night with your wonderful family, and we will see you on the interwebs, because that's what the cool kids say, right? Yeet. Fam.
Yeet? I think that means to throw. Somebody told me that means to throw something, but I don't
That
actually
that
know.
is a word for it, but it can also be an exclamation.
Oh, don't do this to me now. Come on.
It can be a verb or a noun, or a verb or I don't know. Point is, I like to masquerade as a Gen Zer every now and then get all the eye rolls when I talk like it. So fun times.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here, and I'm always happy to talk about terrible posture games and 310. So everyone, go play 3 out of 10.
Please do. And also, Joe, the man that formerly had terrible posture, I guess you need to change the name to Slightly Better Posture Studios.
That is exactly what we were thinking about changing it to.
Really? Seriously?
Like someday we'll call it
Awesome.
Slightly Better Posture.
I love it. All right, you have a great night, good sir.
All right. Take care. Thank you.